I'm Bubba from the Bubba Rock Meat Company. Today, like I told you guys, I'm going to show you how to dry brine your steaks. You can dry brine select, choice, prime, doesn't matter. It's going to help. It's going to help give you more flavor, more beef flavor, and it's going to actually tenderize your steak a little bit. Come in a little closer. I'm going to show you how to do it. All right, 2 ways, 3 ways you can dry brine. You can just use regular table salt. You just got to watch how much salt you put on. The best way is actually with the kosher salt. Sea salt is a little bit bigger flake, gives you a little bit better coverage. If you don't have any, don't go out buying. Just use your plain regular salt, or you can actually dry brine with our seasonings. They all have some salt in it, so they're going to do pretty much the same thing. So just to dry brine, to give you guys a quick intro of how to dry brine, it's not hard at all, folks. All you got to do is just kind of cover the steak. Now, of course, if you're using kosher or sea salt, you'd be able to see the salt better, but you're going to salt all sides. Now just remember, when you cook your steak, don't add any more salt. Now after you do this, it's better to put on a cooling rack, so that way you can get air underneath your steak and put it in your refrigerator for about 24 hours. I'm going to bring it back here in about 24 hours, and I'm going to show you the difference between a fresh cut steak that hasn't been dry brine and a steak that has been dry brine. Alright, we let our steak sit for 24 hours. We're back. Come on in. I'm going to show you the difference, what the dry brining does. Here's the dry brine steak. You can see the color. Looks like the fibers are starting to separate. Here's a steak that I just cut to show you the difference. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cook them. And I'm going to show you the difference in taste and flavor. Alright? So to cook really any steak, dry brine, what I'm going to do is, of course I don't have a grill right now, so we're just going to do it on a hot plate. I'm going to take my dry brine steak, I'm going to rub a little olive oil on it. And remember, you don't need to add any more salt to it. I'm going to get a good sear on it. I'm not going to flip that steak until I get a nice crust on it. I want to get that crust, alright? So I'll bring it back once I get a crust on this. It's only going to take a couple minutes. I'm going to flip it. I'll bring it back when that happens. Alright guys, we're ready to flip our steak. Come on in, we'll see what kind of crust we got here. Oh yeah, look at that. Almost looks like you deep fried it. That is beautiful for a pan sear. We're going to do the same thing on this side, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do one last step before we take it off. Once we get that other side seared like this, I'll bring it back. I'll give you the final step, which is going to take your steak up to the next level. Alright, we have a good crust on one side. Let's flip it and see what we have on this side. Oh yeah, we're ready to flip it. That's what you want, folks. You want a nice crust. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the steak up to the next level. We're going to caramelize a little bit of butter in here in this pan, and we're just going to move this steak around and get all that butter flavoring that steak even more. You don't want to burn the butter. You just want it to get that nice golden brown color, and that's going to caramelize your steak a little bit. Alright folks, now you can cook your steak to the temperature that you like. I like mine rare. So I'm ready to take mine off. It's just about right. Now, once we take it off, we're gonna let it rest for about 10 minutes before we slice it. I'll bring it back and I'll show you what it looks like once I slice it. Alright guys, we have our steaks done. First one here was the dry brine with salt. Sat around for 24 hours in the refrigerator. Cooked it off in the hot skillet. A little bit of olive oil, a little bit of butter. We didn't add any more salt to it. That's it. This one, we basically dry brined in our GPS seasoning. 24 hours refrigerator. Same way. Hot plate, a little bit of butter, a little bit of olive oil. We added a little bit more GPS to it. That was all we did to that one. The third one, fresh cut steak. Still good. Did it in the hot pan, butter, olive oil. We did throw a little bit of GPS at the end on it. Let's see what we have here. Okay, here we go. Now, I like my steak extremely rare, so bear with me, folks. Here's the dry brine. Here's the one that's dry brined in the GPS. And here's just the regular traditional steak that you didn't dry brine. Let's try a piece here, see what it tastes like. It's got good flavor. You get that little bit of salt, it pops. It's somewhat tender. Now, these are all select steaks, guys. These aren't choice and they aren't prime. Very good steak. Better than what you'd get at the restaurant, guys. You guys can do this at home. You don't have to go out to the restaurant. It can be done right here. All right? Let's try one with the GPS. I like this one a little bit better, guys. It's not as salty, but the GPS with the garlic and the pepper, you get that little bit of pop right as soon as you put it in your mouth. Delicious, delicious steak. Let's go over to the one that we just basically cut, put it in the frying pan. It's got a little bit more of a tug, guys. Being a select steak, you still get that good beef flavor, but it's not as pronounced if you either dry brined or seasoned it. I tell you what, folks, here it is. Select steaks. Really highly recommend you dry brine it. If you're going to go out to the restaurant and pay the money, you guys can do this at home. Very easy to do. Salt it, let it sit for 24 hours in a refrigerator. You're ready to eat. Same way with the seasoning, the GPS. Fabulous. Do it the same way. Cover it all, let it sit 24 hours, cook it. The steak that isn't dry brined is still good, but it's not as good as these two. Hope this helped you guys a little bit. Enjoy. I'm Bubba from Bubba Rock. Like us on the social media pages, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. See you guys later.